Foton just detonated a bomb in the global truck market, and nobody saw it coming. The company behind some of the toughest commercial vehicles has now revealed a pickup so aggressively priced, so shockingly cheap, that automakers from Japan to America are scrambling to figure out what just hit them. This is the Foton Tunland, the pickup that's rewriting the rulebook on what a budget truck can be. And trust me, this one isn't just cheap, it's dangerously good. For years, the pickup world has been dominated by familiar names: Toyota Hilux, Ford Ranger, Nissan Navara, Mitsubishi Triton. Solid trucks, yes, but all of them have slid into premium territory. Prices have soared, features have ballooned, and the average buyer has been squeezed out. People have been begging for an affordable, simple, reliable truck that doesn't cost as much as a small apartment. And today, Foton finally answered that call with something the competition never expected: a fully fledged pickup priced so low that it makes the entire segment look embarrassingly overpriced. The Tunland isn't playing the cheap truck, cheap build game either. No, Foton went straight for the jugular by loading this thing with serious hardware. Under the hood, you're looking at a proven turbo diesel engine developed with global suppliers. An engine built for hard use, not city posing. It's tuned for strong low-end torque, the kind you need when you're towing, climbing, or hauling. And Foton didn't cheap out on the drivetrain either. You can option it with a proper 4x4 system, locking rear differential, and a ladder frame chassis designed to take abuse. This isn't a toy truck, it's a workhorse priced like a scooter. And here's where things get even crazier, because the Tunland is not only rugged, it's comfortable. Inside, you get a modern cabin with a touchscreen, digital driver info display, USB ports, reverse camera, steering controls, and materials that don't feel bargain bin. Yes, it's simple. Yes, it's basic, but it's not depressing. It feels like a truck built for real people who actually need a pickup, but the headline, "The Real Earthquake," is the price. Because what Foton has done here is something the giant brands swore was impossible. While major pickups now start at jaw-dropping figures, the Tunland enters the market at a price point so low that you will genuinely think it's a typo. Foton isn't just undercutting the segment, they're gutting it. This is the kind of price that forces buyers to stop and rethink every other truck option. Why spend double, or in some cases triple, for a truck that does the same job? And that's the secret behind Foton's strategy. They know the market is collapsing under its own weight. They know buyers are fed up with expensive trucks that they can't even afford to insure. So Foton decided to do what the big brands refuse to do: bring back the no-nonsense real value pickup. One that farmers, tradespeople, small businesses, and everyday drivers can actually buy without drowning in payments. And with this move, Foton didn't just enter the market, they kicked the door off its hinges. And here's the number that instantly turned the entire truck industry upside down: $25,000. That's it. 25 grand for a brand new, full-size feeling turbo diesel 4x4 capable pickup. Not a used one, not a stripped down fleet special. A proper truck you can drive off the showroom floor today. When that price leaked, people thought it was a launch promo. They thought it was a mistake. They thought maybe it was for some micro truck or a half-finished chassis, but no, Foton confirmed it. The Tunland is officially the cheapest proper pickup you can buy right now anywhere. To put that into perspective, $25,000 is what some brands charge just for dealer markups. It's less than half the price of a base Ford Ranger. It undercuts the Toyota Hilux by a margin so large, Toyota executives probably broke out in a cold sweat. Even Chinese competitors, known for being aggressively priced, can't touch this number without cutting corners. And Foton didn't cut corners, they cut excuses. This $25,000 shockwave forces a new question: what have the other automakers been doing all this time? Because if Foton can build a capable, reliable, well-equipped pickup at this price, then suddenly the $45,000 to $65,000 price tags on mainstream trucks start to look like pure profit padding, and buyers are noticing. Social media is lighting up with disbelief. Forums are filled with owners asking whether they should cancel their orders for more expensive trucks. Fleet operators are rerunning their math. Small businesses are suddenly looking at expansion again. This is what a real market disruption looks like. But the real power of the Tunland isn't the price alone, it's what that price empowers. For $25K, you're getting a truck that can tow, haul, climb, and take a beating. The turbo diesel engine delivers strong grunt at the low end. The ladder frame gives it real backbone. The suspension is tuned for actual work, not mall parking lot aesthetics. And the 404 version with low range capability, it makes weekend adventures, off-grid trips, and job site abuse all possible without breaking the bank. Foton didn't try to reinvent the pickup. They brought it back to what it's supposed to be. And then there's the interior, simple but shockingly polished for the price. The touchscreen is responsive, the materials feel solid, the layout is clean, nothing feels flimsy or rushed. Foton knows the target buyer doesn't need 20 speakers or massaging seats. They need durability and a cabin that won't fall apart after a year of rough use. And that's exactly what the Tunland delivers. Real value, real toughness, none of the nonsense. What's happening now is unprecedented. For the first time in years, the pickup market has to adjust not because of a new EV, not because of a fancy hybrid tech breakthrough, but because someone dared to make trucks affordable again. Foton tossed a grenade into a segment built on inflated prices and brand loyalty, and the explosion is forcing everyone, from Ford to Toyota to Isuzu, to rethink their entire pricing strategy. And as the dust settles, the ripple effects are already beginning to show. Dealerships selling other brands are suddenly quieter, and providing parts at prices that make the big brands look greedy. That last part, parts pricing, hits hard. Maintenance and repair costs have skyrocketed across the industry, pushing many buyers to the breaking point. But Foton steps in with affordable service and components, proving once again that they're not here to squeeze customers, they're here to capture them. And this is where the Tunland becomes truly dangerous for the competition: word of mouth. Because when a farmer, builder, delivery driver, or contractor buys a truck that costs half as much as everyone else's, but still plows through mud, hauls loads, climbs work sites, and does it without complaint, they tell people, they tell coworkers, they tell neighbors, they tell the whole community. And that kind of organic reputation building is something money can't buy. But the industry's biggest nightmare is still ahead, because once the first year ownership results start pouring in, once real world durability reports hit forums and YouTube, everything changes. If the Tunland proves reliable over thousands of rough, unfiltered kilometers, then the entire pricing structure of the global pickup market collapses. Legacy brands can't explain away a $25,000 truck that lasts. They can't justify $50K, $70K price tags anymore, and they know it. And the most delicious part of all this? The customers know it too. For the first time in nearly a decade, buyers feel power shifting back into their hands. They're realizing they don't need to be locked into financing traps or trapped by brand prestige. They have a choice, and that choice is the Tunland, a simple, tough, modern, honest truck that doesn't pretend to be something it's not. And as more buyers take delivery, something even more unexpected begins to happen. The Tunland starts showing up everywhere. Construction sites, farms, small towns, off-road trails, city streets. You can't ignore it anymore. Its presence becomes a constant reminder that the truck market has changed forever. People see it hauling loads with ease. They see it powering through rough terrain. They see it doing real work without acting fragile or overly polished. And slowly, a shocking realization spreads. This $25,000 truck is actually holding its own against the giants. Their marketing budget's too massive. They've spent years building trucks that are more luxurious, more complicated, and more expensive than ever. Scaling back now would be an admission that Foton exposed their profit margins, and that's a humiliation no big brand wants to face publicly. But they don't have a choice. Market pressure is mounting. Customers are walking into dealerships and demanding deals they wouldn't have dared ask for before. Fleet buyers are negotiating harder. Even loyal fans of traditional brands are getting restless. They're seeing the Tunland everywhere. They're hearing the stories, they're watching the comparisons, and deep down, they're asking the question that terrifies everyone in the legacy truck world: why am I paying so much for the same capability? And as this question spreads, the ground beneath the entire truck industry begins to shift. It's not just about affordability anymore. It's about accountability. People want to know where their money is going. They want to know why trucks became luxury products. They want to know why prices exploded while wages didn't. And the Tunland, intentionally or not, has ignited that conversation. And as this conversation grows louder, Foton takes advantage of the moment with absolute precision. They begin highlighting their supply chain transparency, showing how they keep costs low without cutting corners. They showcase their partnerships with international component suppliers, their simplified production lines, their lean logistics strategy. This isn't just marketing, it's a direct challenge to the giants who've spent decades hiding behind complexity to justify sky-high prices. Foton is essentially saying, we're proving proving a well-built truck doesn't need to cost a fortune. What's your excuse? This message resonates deeply with buyers who've grown tired of premium pricing disguised as innovation. Because when people realize that a $25,000 truck can have a strong frame, a dependable diesel, a solid suspension, and modern tech, it forces a hard look at the bloated features of other trucks. Sales reps who once bragged about premium features are now scrambling to explain why their base models cost nearly double. Online listings for used trucks are dropping in price because even the second-hand market can't ignore a brand new $25,000 competitor. It's a domino effect that nobody predicted, but Foton clearly planned for. What's even more fascinating is how the Tunland is being received outside traditional trucking circles. Small business owners see it as a lifeline. Rural buyers see it as liberation from overpriced imports. First-time truck owners, people who always wanted a pickup but couldn't justify the cost, are finally stepping into the segment. The Tunland isn't just a truck, it's a recalibration of the market. It's showing that capability doesn't have to come with a luxury price tag, and the automotive world is reacting with a mix of shock and denial. Some analysts claim the Tunland is too cheap to be real. The others say it will force a race to the bottom. But the truth is simpler. Foton exposed the margin game. They showed that a robust, functional truck doesn't actually cost $50,000 to build. And once a market learns the truth, there's no going back. Customers won't accept inflated prices anymore when a perfectly capable alternative is sitting right there for half the cost. Meanwhile, Foton is doubling down. They've hinted at expanded production, bigger export plans, and even more aggressive pricing for fleet orders. That means municipalities, contractors, logistics companies, farms, and factories, buyers who rely on dozens or hundreds of trucks, can retool their entire operations at a fraction of the usual cost. This isn't just a budget pickup anymore. It's an economical weapon. But here's where things get really interesting. Rivals are already in emergency mode. Insiders are leaking whispers of rushed redesigns, cost-cutting meetings, and panic-level strategy sessions. Automakers know that once a $25,000 truck grabs traction, once real-world reliability data comes out, once early owners start posting their experiences, it's game over for any brand still pretending 50K is the new normal. Foton broke the illusion and the entire industry felt it. Durability, capability, simplicity, and a price that doesn't wreck their finances. Industry experts are already predicting that if Foton pushes even harder, say adding a slightly upgraded model, a longer wheelbase version, or a more premium interior variant, they could dominate multiple segments at once. Imagine a family-focused Tunland, or a fleet-spec Tunland, or even a heavy-duty Tunland. At this price level, the possibilities shake the entire landscape. And now, governments and business sectors are paying attention too. Some countries are considering Tunland fleets for agriculture programs, infrastructure projects, emergency services, and public utility work. When an entire fleet can be purchased for the price of a dozen premium brand trucks, the math becomes irresistible. This is how markets shift, quietly at first, then all at once. And as momentum builds, the Tunland starts becoming more than just a product. It becomes a symbol of practicality in a world that tried to convince buyers that trucks had to be luxury status symbols, a symbol of value in a market drowning in overpriced features nobody asked for, a symbol of reality breaking through the fog of marketing hype. And buyers are responding because, deep down, people always knew trucks didn't need to cost as much as a luxury SUV to do their job. What's even more shocking is how influencers and reviewers are reacting. The automotive world usually loves to clown on budget brands, but this time, even the skeptics are admitting the truth. The Tunland doesn't feel cheap where it matters. Reviewers are saying the chassis feels solid, the ride surprisingly composed, the power delivery predictable and usable. They're calling it the working man's truck, a return to fundamentals, and the pickup that puts pressure on everyone else. And you can feel the shift. Slowly, quietly, the truck world is warming up to something they would have dismissed 5 years ago. Meanwhile, Foton is capitalizing on this newfound attention with laser precision. They're expanding showrooms, strengthening service networks, offering extended warranties. Owners say it feels like an honest, hardworking machine instead of a fashion statement. That's exactly the reaction Foton wanted. They didn't need to make the best truck in the world. They just needed to make a good truck at a price that makes everything else else look unreasonable, and just when the competition thinks they've caught their breath, Foton drops another surprise. The Tunland isn't being marketed as a budget alternative. No, Foton positions it as a legitimate contender. They're openly challenging the big names, showcasing real-world tests, durability demonstrations, and head-to-head comparisons that highlight how absurd today's truck prices have become. Every ad, every promo, every spec sheet is designed to hammer home one thing: why pay more for the same capability? This messaging is resonating because the market is hungry for honesty. For years, buyers have been told trucks need to be luxury vehicles, that a pickup must have leather seats, glowing ambient lights, and a 12-inch screen to justify its price. But Foton cuts through all that noise with brutal clarity. The Tunland proves that a solid frame, a reliable diesel, usable tech, and rugged performance are all you actually need. And at $25,000, it's almost impossible to argue otherwise. In some regions, early shipments are already selling out. Pre-orders are climbing. People who never considered a Chinese brand before are lining up because the value is too overwhelming to ignore. And when price meets practicality, brand loyalty evaporates fast. That's what terrifies the legacy automakers. Not the Tunland itself, but what it represents. A shift in consumer mindset, a wake-up call that the premium pickup bubble might finally be bursting. And make no mistake, this is only the beginning. Foton has room to scale. The manufacturing cost structure is lean. Supplier partnerships are global. They're hungry, aggressive, and motivated to grow. Unlike the Western brands that spend billions on marketing fluff and endless trim levels, Foton is staying laser focused on what truck buyers actually want. The Tunland didn't just crash the truck market, it exposed it. And now, the world is watching the fallout unfold. The competitors are sweating, the buyers are celebrating, and Foton, quiet, determined, unapologetic, stands at the center of the storm they created. And at this point, the Tunland phenomenon becomes bigger than the truck itself. It turns into a movement. People rallying around the idea that practicality shouldn't be a luxury, that working class buyers deserve real value, and that automakers shouldn't get away with inflating prices just because they can. Social media clips of the Tunland towing massive trailers or tackling rough terrain start going viral. Memes pop up comparing $60,000 trucks to the $25,000 Tunland with captions like, "Same job, half the price." The narrative is shifting, and Foton is riding that wave with absolute confidence. Even better, Tunland owners begin forming communities on Facebook, on YouTube, in forums, groups dedicated to sharing tips, modifications, long-term reviews, and worksite stories. These aren't fanboys hyping a new gadget. These are real workers, real drivers, real families showing what the truck can do, and their experiences carry more weight than any glossy advertisement ever could. When a contractor posts that his Tunland pulled through a muddy job site when a more expensive truck struggled, people notice. When a farmer posts that the truck handled a full day of hauling without overheating or complaining, that's credibility money can't buy. Meanwhile, insurance companies start paying attention. With prices this low, insurance premiums often drop, making ownership even more affordable. Fleet buyers love this. Small businesses love this. Suddenly, the total cost of ownership for the Tunland is far lower than almost any other truck on the market, even used ones. And that changes everything. A $25,000 truck that costs less to buy, less to insure, and less to maintain. That's not competition, that's domination. Rivals, however, can't simply slash their prices to match. Their production costs are too high, their operations too bloated. That visibility alone is a threat. Every time someone sees a Tunland parked next to a $60,000 Ranger or Hilux, the comparison is instant and brutal. Owners of premium-priced trucks begin questioning why they paid so much. The psychology of value starts shifting, and once that mental barrier breaks, the traditional brands lose one of their strongest weapons: perceived superiority. Car dealerships are feeling the hit too. Sales reps who once dismissed Chinese brands as cheap knockoffs are now forced to confront customers demanding to know why their trucks cost double. Some dealers are slashing prices, others are adding discounts they never offered before. Incentives, cashback deals, low interest financing, everything is suddenly on the table, and it's all because the Tunland exists. Behind the scenes, automakers are in defensive mode, engineers are reviewing cost structures, executives are calling emergency pricing meetings, designers are being asked to simplify upcoming models. The pressure is real, immediate, and unavoidable, because when a new product reshapes consumer expectations this drastically, the entire industry must follow, or fall. Even more unsettling for rivals is the Tunland's upgrade potential. Enthusiasts are already modifying it, installing all-terrain tires, lifting the suspension, tuning the engine, customizing interiors, and the truck responds well. It's built with enough mechanical headroom to take mods without breaking. That's the hallmark of a solid platform, and as modded Tunlands start gaining traction online, the truck shifts from budget pickup to blank canvas, a platform for work or play at a price point no other brand can touch. But perhaps the most powerful element of all is the story behind the Tunland. It represents something people deeply crave today: fairness, fair pricing, fair design, fair capability. Not a truck bloated with gimmicks, not a vehicle pretending to be a luxury lounge, just an honest machine built for real life. And that authenticity resonates in a world where everything feels increasingly overpriced and overcomplicated.